Hello, welcome to my presentation about online harms and race-biased algorithms. The issue I'm going to address today is a quite recent topic of controversy, which concerns the way algorithms and artificial intelligence operate, especially online and on social media platforms. And it has been accused of operating with biases and working more in favor of white people than, for instance, for black people or other minorities. And I'm also going to address which role advertising plays, especially digital advertising. So yeah, let's move on to the next slide. So as you know, most businesses are trying to tackle social media when it comes to marketing or advertising their products or brands online on social media platforms. But one of the issues is that marketers often don't have enough knowledge of, first of all, what algorithms exactly are, how algorithms on different platforms operate and how they differ, and third of all, in which way they are targeting their users, and that algorithms may not be as reliable as expected. They sort of just put their demographics in and let the website do its thing, basically. I'm going to address the black box scenario now, and a black box is a metaphor commonly used in science and technology studies, which talks about the inner workings of an algorithm and how it's quite hard to detect how exactly they are working or what the algorithms are picking up on, because they're trained to or programmed to pick up on new data sets and kind of learn by themselves. So if you have one input, one day, let's say an advertiser will set their demographics, then the algorithm will calculate something basically, and the output can be ever changing because the algorithm is always changing because it always picks up on different data and relearns or updates itself. And it's quite hard for even programmers to get into the inner workings of an algorithm because they're not sure themselves what the algorithm is picking up on or what the algorithm has taught itself. So you can't really blame advertisers for not exactly knowing how these algorithms work, especially since they also differ on every platform. Like each algorithm is different and works differently. But yeah, obviously, as I've mentioned, programmers don't even know themselves exactly how these algorithms work or how they've updated themselves, etc. But it can have massive implications, as you will see or as I will introduce to you in the next slide. So a Facebook case study has been performed in 2019 in the room of North Carolina by the Northeastern University, the University of South Carolina, and UpTen, a non-profit organization that works towards justice and technology. The study was on how gender and race-biased Facebook ad algorithms operate, with focusing on housing and employment ads. So how it worked was that the researchers made their own advertising campaigns without specifying their demographic targets to see how the Facebook algorithm would respond. The researchers put ads for houses for sale and rental units out. The researchers found out that Facebook delivered the ads for houses on sale to a 75% white audience, whereas the rental units got delivered to a more demographically balanced audience. The other ads they put out, again without specified demographics, were ads for different jobs. The researchers found out that the ads for lumberjack positions got advertised to a 72% white and 90% male audience. The job of a cashier got advertised to an 85% female audience, whereas the taxi driver position got delivered to a 75% black audience. which gave the researchers a clear idea about how biased these ad algorithms actually work. I would like to introduce a quote by a woman called Fei-Fei Li at this point. She's a computer scientist working for Google, and she mentioned, be careful not to be misled by the name artificial intelligence. There's nothing artificial about it. AI is made by humans, intended to behave by humans, and ultimately to impact humans' lives and society. I found this quote quite suitable because it is highlighting the misperception of algorithms operating at an objective level, which unfortunately isn't the case, because algorithms are learning from old and biased data sets, and algorithms are programmed by humans. I also have to say mainly white scientists. And it's no secret that humans are biased, and it reflects in our technology. So algorithms can reinforce social hierarchies and power imbalances in our system, as the case study has shown. And as I've already mentioned, algorithms are bought from bigger companies, so advertisers make use of algorithms and don't exactly know how they're programmed, how they're working, etc. And exactly like the last point, is hard to encode constantly changing black box. So first of all, people don't exactly know how they're programmed, even when companies buy algorithms, and then they don't know how or what the algorithms are learning from. Which brings me on to my next point, default discrimination. And even unintentional discrimination can go beyond intentions of the scientist or designer, as you can see in diagram 1 and 2 that I've presented to you. So what I'm saying by that is that the algorithm most likely, when it comes to like advertising houses for sale, is that they calculated who's most likely to buy a house in this and this area. And it probably has shown that more white people buy houses in the area rather than black people or other minorities. So the algorithm probably just picked up on that and was like, okay, it's more likely for white people to buy this house, so we'll advertise it to white people. Which, as I said, probably goes beyond the intentions of the scientist or whoever created this algorithm. It's more like a logical way of calculating who's most likely going to buy a house. Even though you might think, oh, these were just objective calculations based on data, these should still be seen as miscalculations and not just a glitch or an isolated incident, and should rather be seen as an innovation that enables social containment, because it doesn't give everyone the same chances of getting a good job, which they would have probably been qualified for, or buy a house in their area of preference. But I will go into that in my next slide. This brings me into my next slide, implications for the minorities in our society. And the case study has clearly shown that certain races or even genders are getting excluded or don't have the same chances of, as I said, getting certain jobs or being able to buy or rent houses in certain areas, just because of the calculations of some algorithms. This only reinforces white supremacy and fuels the divide of social classes, as it doesn't allow social classes to mix, like, for instance, people of color to move to any other, like, more white area, as the ads don't even get shown to them. So it's very hard for them to get out of their social class in that sense. Algorithms are also projected in a law of objectivity, and it's very difficult to hold anyone accountable for equal treatment online, because it is very subtle and many people don't even know about the issue or wouldn't even know, because each of their like platforms looks differently. Like everyone gets suggested different ads or different jobs. So you don't really question that. People often assume that it looks sort of the same for everyone. Which brings me to my last slide, solutions and improvements. And brands and advertisers should educate themselves about platforms and their algorithms and which reputations and platforms and algorithms have, or what the users are complaining about, to take that into consideration when setting their demographics. And they should also be able to double check and question the insights given by the algorithms and the platforms after putting an ad out and seeing who is responding to it, who has been seen, who hasn't been seen, and also addressing structures of power within organizations and the hiring process. Now I'm addressing ad agencies, or any hiring process in bigger organizations or companies, to be able to have a diverse team that can fight for equality online or within their organization. So that was it. That was my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you very much for listening. I'm going to add my sources in the next slide. Yeah, thank you very much.